welcome once again to the Country HQ Spotlight On podcast, where we dive into the stories behind Australia's finest country artists. I'm your host, Adam Simon, and today, as always, we have a very special guest joining us, the man himself, Will Day, back from the Denny Ute Muster with his powerful blend of country, rock, and heartbeat storytelling. Will's been making waves across the country scene and Australian music scene for years. His latest single, My Kind of Crowd, in his recent performance at Denny, look, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's not muck around, let's get right into it. Will Day, welcome to Country HQ, mate.
G'day, Adam. How are you, mate?
Good, chapping yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty well, thanks. It's Friday, so not complaining.
It's Friday. It's as Jimmy Buffett used to say, it's 5 o'clock somewhere and it's Friday, so
Yeah,
let's
is it
rip
ever,
into
mate?
it, eh?
Is it ever bring on 5 o'clock, I can tell you.
Mate, let's do a bit of, let's work backwards a little bit. Your new single, My Kind of Crowd, great song, perfect for summer, perfect for the festival season. Where's the song come from for yourself, and what's it mean to you personally?
Yeah, I wrote this song, so I've recently went to Nashville this year. I went to Nashville many years ago as more like a tourist, but in July this year, I've been wanting to get over there for many years and do a co-writing trip and play a couple of shows and stuff. So I co-wrote this song with a couple of guys who we just reached out to them basically, and that the mutual friend who lives there, she was very helpful, and I just kind of brought this idea, like this. I had a bit of a melody, I kind of thought, I just thought about bringing this fun idea to them about a bit of a party song. I love releasing party songs, and they just connected. Like we just met that afternoon, So it's this interesting thing when you walk into a room with people you don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But we sort of connected, and we just vibed it out, and we wrote this song in the hotel lobby of my Nashville accommodation. And for me, country rock is my thing, right? And this goes back to the roots of that. Guitars and fun and my kind of crowd. The special thing, as you know, Adam, about a country crowd is that, they're unique in a good way. They're so supportive of live music and country music, and I guess it's an ode to them, really, So it's fun, it's upbeat, and really proud of it, yeah.
So come on in, tell your friends and grab a cold beer. Beats everything that you ever seen. Won't you ring, you won't wanna leave my kind of crowd. Yeah, all my folks love the simple things, a lazy Sunday and a southern breeze. Sitting out back on an old porch swing, hearing granddaddy's stories till we fall asleep, yeah. My kind of crowd knows how to get down from the city to the state.
Does that vibe also come out? I mean, we've all been to Nashville a couple of times, both as tourists, but when you're there as a professional, you have to have a different lens on it. But is that also because the vibe is, I mean, Tamworth, say, for instance, and Nashville, it's sister cities for a reason. They have that vibe when the festival time, they have that party vibe, they have that atmosphere. Was that something, being in Nashville and working with those guys locally, you were able to draw that out as well?
100%. I think that's probably how this song came about, was the fact that, in fact, I'm just thinking about the day we wrote it. I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying this because they're fun. They got a good sense of humor, but they showed up about 2 hours late because they were super hungover. But it didn't. I think the thing with Nashville, it doesn't matter. Like they live and breathe songwriting, live and breathe live music, and they showed up. That's the main thing, and it actually kind of made for a better tune because they were kind of like, all right, we need to pick ourselves up, and after that we went and had a burger and a beer, and it was all good. So it's that connection. I think being there, as you said, you kind of get this energy from the place. It's quite incredible, Adam. And I'm already planning my next trip back, but it was a bit of a milestone for me because I've been wanting to do it for so many years, and just to be there and absorb that just the energy of the place is quite incredible. There's creativity everywhere. It's just incredible. So I loved it.
And you get that from, you can walk down Music Row, you can walk where all the publishing houses are, but then you walk down Broadway at 10 o'clock in the morning and there's bands in bars already, and it's like, maybe I'll just have a soda or a coffee, but you get into that vibe, and there's live music from 10 a.m. or in some cases 9 a.m. That little bar on the corner opposite Roberts has live music every day from 9 a.m. and it's like, this is phenomenal. Now they've got these rooftop bars as well, and it's such a vibe. But we're seeing that vibe almost sneaking to Australia at the moment, aren't we? Because country music at the moment, you must feel it yourself, Will. It's thriving. It's getting to these levels which both local artists and international artists, we haven't seen this for 30 plus years in Australia, have we?
No, mate, it's a really good point. And you know what? Everyone's talking about it, Adam. Everyone's talking about country music, not just country music people. The mainstream is talking about country music. you look at the festival scene, which is really sad at the moment, what's happening to a lot of festivals in Australia. But to be honest, look at the country music festival scene to be specifically, it's like this, it's on the up. So what it just says to everyone, that, this genre, everyone's latching on. And I guess I wasn't around, I was a kid 30 years ago, and that rise around the 90s, in Australia and that kind of thing, I wasn't around for, but I'm imagining that's what it was like. And to go to Tamworth in the 90s and see that rise, would have been really interesting. So, and I think what we're seeing now is, look, it's the American influence, right? The popularity of American country music and fans in Australia realizing that. But in saying that, there's a lot of, there's a lot of great support for different types of country music now and what Australian country music fan likes to hear. So we can release music as country artists which fall under the banner. It could be any type of country, but we're getting support from it, probably because it's become more of an international genre here, if that makes sense, So it's an exciting time. And to be honest, mate, I can't wait to see where it goes, because it's, everyone's latching on. And I think it's an exciting place to be as an artist, as a country music fan, as in radio and media. Like, I just think it's quite interesting where we're at. And actually, when I was in Nashville, I presented a conference called the International Country Music Conference, and that was about the rise of country music in Australia. And I interviewed a bunch of people in industry and songwriters, and that's what that was about. So there's lots more to see how it develops, and to be honest, just enjoy the ride at the moment. It's really good.
It must be also good for you to feel that rise, and because not only as a performing artist, but also in your work with JMC and the kids that come through there. When we've got the CMAA just announced its first symposium in Sydney for the first time in a long time, I think at JMC in Sydney. Is it encouraging for you as a rising artist and someone who's done the hard yards and done the cover shows and now using your own original formats? Is that encouraging for you to see bodies like the CMAA and Music New South Wales, Queensland Music Association all getting on board to support these artists?
It's a great point, mate, and it means a lot to me. Yeah. Thanks for noting. It's interesting to hear you talk about it, because I did the covers thing for years, right? And I've got no regrets about the way I've gone about my career and the way I did my apprenticeship, we'll call it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, right? I get that. But I played thousands of shows in bars in and around Brisbane and Western Queensland. That's how I made my living for many years, and through music. I'm so thankful to music for that. I'm at this point now where working with James C, and I'm working with the EBM, Entertainment Business Management Department nationally, and I'm doing music stuff where I'm getting to work with students who are kind of at that same level. They're starting their journey. And for me, it's so exciting to see them start that journey where I was. And speaking of James C, to get behind, he mentioned the CMAA symposium and James C getting behind country music as well, and that connection. So it's an exciting time. And I guess it's nice to just look back and go, well, it's nice to have that, you can appreciate where younger artists, and especially country music artists who are starting out, are coming from. It's tough work, it's hard work, but you mentioned the support we're getting from these organisations, and that's really important. Without that, we don't have anything. It's about building it together, I reckon.
But I think doing what you called your apprenticeship there, you got to get those runs on the board. I saw you for the first time a couple of years ago, I think at the back bar at Diggers there. For the last show in Tamworth. I thought, oh yeah, he'll be on for an hour and a half, no, 2 hours, no, 3 hours. I think your gig that night approached 4 hours, and it's like, at that point, we were done chanting one more song, and I'm going, he must be exhausted, because I've been in the crowd, and I wasn't even drinking then, but it's like, I was exhausted, but you just kept giving it all. And I thought to myself, it's the last gig in Tamworth, I think it was your last show, probably about 4 years ago, before COVID.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, you reminded me, I did a gig with Luke O'Shea a couple of years ago. We had 12 or about 20 people there. Yeah. And he came off stage like he was at Wembley. And you gave the same thing to this back bar at Tamworth that night. And so I thought to myself, that's the apprenticeship that you're talking about, but that's the difference between, as opposed to a lot of other artists you're coming through. And you might see students as well, but who come in, they do their apprenticeship for 1 year, and all of a sudden they want to try and charge $45 for a ticketed show at Tamworth. And then they wonder why no one turned up, because they don't have that rapport or that reputation. So I think you've done a really clever thing in that, doing that apprenticeship. We all know we have to play the gambler 14 times and the wagon wheel 1,000 times, but in doing so, your live show, was that something you did? Because what I saw your live show doing, those covers and so on, you weren't doing it as Kenny Rogers or as Old Crow, or you're doing it as Will Day. You brought your own intensity, your own passion, and your own desire. Was that something which happened naturally for you, or was that something you had planned all along?
Such a good question, Adam. And I remember those shows, and I think we played 10 nights at Diggers that year in a row or something. I remember at the start of it going, how's my voice going to survive? But I did it. I just worked really hard and looked after my voice. And for me, what I've built now and through doing all those years is a high energy country rock. I like to give it my all, because if I'm not giving it my all, I might as well give up. But honestly, it's as simple as that for me. If I'm not sweating and giving the audience who's there 5 people or 500, 5,000, whatever, I'm not doing my job. And that's that's kind of my ethos, I guess. It's a bit different if you're doing an acoustic show, but with the full band showing what I do these days and trying to do more festivals and bigger events like I do these days, that's my ethos. So thank you for acknowledging that, because that means a lot. That means a lot that someone that is interested in my music realizes that. And I suppose in terms of how I carve that out now, it's like it's the only way to go about it. And I guess I'm lucky now that I can play more of my own music, but I still. It's a really great point you made about not doing it as Kenny Rogers. If you're playing a cover song, I think what I've tried to carve out, as you're alluding to, is that although and I still do shows like that, right, where I've got a bunch of covers in there, if I'm doing a rodeo or something, still like to present myself as Will Day, the country rock act, and put my own stamp on it. And I think that's what people. Yes, they like your own music. Hopefully that's what you hope for as a songwriter. But I think people become accustomed to, I guess, your brand, for want of a better term, as who you are as an artist too. So I try to go about that way, and I still do. So it's an interesting point you pick up on, and it's nice that, you feel that same way, because I think that's what we try to do as artists, is connect.
And covers are okay. I mean, you've got a great repertoire. We're going to talk about that in a second. Like, the Stones play 4 or 5 covers in their shows. This is the Rolling Stones, for God's sakes, with the biggest catalogue in the world, but I want to talk about some of your own songs. I mean, you've got tender songs like We've Got This, and then you've got this really powerful, emotive ballad, Simple Then, the song you did with Brooke. You have a great range. Is that something where your own musical influences came from? What type of musical influences influence your songwriting when it comes time to sit down with pen and paper?
Yeah, really good question. I think, I grew up listening to, my parents had put on Cat Stevens and James Taylor, Carole King, and then later on Paul Kelly, Paul Simon. Not a whole lot of country, like John Denver and stuff, but not a whole lot of country growing up. But I kind of came to country a little bit later, and with the 90s rise and Garth and Keith a bit later obviously, but Garth and Alan Jackson, that's where I really got into it in my late teens. But it's definitely, the singer-songwriter vibe has never left me. You know what I mean? You mentioned some songs there like Simple Dan and songs like Dear Dad, and Dear Dad is one of the most raw songs ever released. And I've got, I was checking the YouTube comments on that video a couple of days ago, and all the views it's had and people it's connected with, actually worldwide. I find that quite amazing, because it's so far from who I am as a country rock act, but it's still me. It's, you know what I mean? So I guess as a songwriter, you got the best of both worlds to be able to go, well, it starts with the story, starts with the song. Sometimes it's an upbeat party song. Most of the time it is for me. Sometimes it's not. And I think as long as you're being, as cliche as it sounds, but as long as you're being yourself, no matter what vein that light you're in, that's all that matters. And I think for me, because of my upbringing, that you talked about the music I listened to, I went through a rock phase there, I went through an Aussie rock phase, where I was loving, I was into bands like Powderfinger and Jet, and I loved Grinspoon, and that's all I listened to for a while. And then the country came a little bit later. So if you're being yourself and you're telling your stories, whether it's in a sweaty country rock show or if it's just an acoustic songwriter show, that's okay.
Yeah, I was talking to, I won't say who it was for their own anonymity, but I was talking to an artist who'd done the Australian and the Nashville thing. Yeah. And I was asking them about how do they balance the commercial sensitivities of their songs. So, we need to release something that's commercial versus something they want to release, like a heartfelt ballad about their child or their partner or their daughter. And he said to me, it's really hard sometimes. And the formula is exactly what you said. He goes, it's in the middle. He goes, be yourself, and both sides served then. Because the realness will come through. And I remember when Keith used to support Slim, and he used to play Slim-style songs, and Slim put him aside and said, why are you playing these songs? I didn't hire you to play that. I want you to play songs where your guitar's behind your head and you're walking on the tables and you're Keith Urban.
There you go.
He says at that very point he realised that as well. So you've got that wisdom already down pat, mate. It's very good. What about you're heading now towards, you just came back from Denny. How was Denny this year?
Denny was awesome. That was the first time for me playing Denny, and it's a festival that I've wanted play for
Okay.
several years now, and got the Guernsey this year, and I loved it, mate. Like, what a special event! It's incredible. And I took my kids and my wife, and they had a great time. So kid friendly, but you walk into this world of I just love the way they do it, the way they set it up. So it was amazing. And then we had Groundwater Country Music Festival, completely different event, also very special, which was amazing as well. I got to play the main stage for the first time there, so been lucky lately to play some great shows. Yeah.
Denny's a funny thing, isn't it? It's quite friendly, but from the outside, from the facade, I've driven there a few times with people, and they go, "What the hell?" I was with some Americans once, and they said, "Is this where they made Mad Max?" They thought it was that confronting. But then you get inside, and everyone's safe, everyone's fine, everyone looks out for each other. I think it's because everyone's there for the one reason: it's to share a good time, to share in music, and have a good time. So that was Denny. I just see you just announced Camp for a Cure, which is next May, and so on. Can you tell us a bit about that gig's going to be?
Yeah, I just, as you said, just announced that, and the wonderful folks at Camp for a Cure reached out a little while ago about playing the event. It's raising money. It's a fundraiser at it's like a bush camp style place in near Kingaroy, and it's like 3 days, so camping and everything, and the wonderful Katie Jane's also headlining, and there's some heaps of great acts. But the most important thing is about that event is that it's raising money for a charity run by Samuel Johnson, Little Sister or Your Little Sister, so which is raising much needed funds as always for cancer research. So very proud. Like when you get to do a fundraising event, you try to do them when you can, and I'm really looking forward to it. So it's in a beautiful part of Queensland, obviously a fair way north from where you are there, Adam. But it'll be really good. And next year, we've got a few other announcements for next year which are coming, and we're just working hard all the time at trying to get to new areas, play great festivals, and get to new events, and that's what it's all about for me. The touring ethic, as much as I can manage it, is and playing live, which is that's I can confidently say that without sounding up myself. That's where I feel most at home, is being on stage, playing live, and touring, and putting on a good show. And I've spent a lot of years working at that, so hopefully more to come for next year as well. Yeah, but Camp for a Cure will be great.
I think the playing live concept now, and I'm sure you feel this having done that apprenticeship and also moved into your own show, playing live is the new record store. We don't have record stores like they used to be. You'd walk in, remember, when we were growing up, you'd walk in the record store, what's that? And you'd ask you'd be shown the rack of where this album was. Playing live is your new record store. It's a chance for you to come and do an install and play to 200 people or 10,000 people.
Yeah,
and try and make that connection, isn't it? Where if we don't have that, we don't have terrestrial radio anymore, really commercial radio. We've got and the trick is you're up against what they say. There's 72 hours of music uploaded to Spotify every minute. So you're up against that. So whereas is that what playing live must mean to you now as a performing artist, as well as when you're talking to some of your students around these are the ways we have to survive and move?
100%, mate. And let's be real, right? A lot of people play music for the absolute love of it, right? And that's fine. There's no issue there. I've met many people over the years do that. Music has always been my main source of income, right? I like to work hard, and I play music because I love it, but also because it's my income. And the reality is, let's face it, that no one's selling CDs anymore. The streaming services, there's little bits that come in every now and then, but it's not enough to fund the next album, depending on who you are, I suppose. But so my point is,
enough to fund a carton of VB, mate.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. My point is, to survive, you need to get on the road and you need to play live, because yes, it's a way of earning income, but more importantly, that's the only way it's the best way, in my opinion, to connect with people that follow you, and also not just people that already follow, but to gain new followers, gain new fans. I'm still at a point now where I've got a lot I want to achieve in my career, and I've got a great following, but you're always wanting to build that a lot more, and being on the road, playing, connecting, being able to sell merch, and people get a photo with you, and just having a yarn to them, getting to know their stories. That's what it's all about. And you can't do that. You can forget all the social media and the streaming and all that. The only way to do that is to get on a stage and play to them. It's as simple as that. And that's kind of my look. People have different viewpoints on that, but that's kind of my thing. Yeah.
I think you're totally right. I think, and I think that even the larger artists, Luke Combs is touring because he has to. No one's buying Luke Combs' albums. He has to tour because that's his income, and that's very unfortunate. That's why the tickets are $200-$300. But the big artists, from the big artist to the person playing in a Peel Street busking, everyone plays live now because they have to. because it's that's the stream of income, and that's the only place now that you can get that connection you talked about. And I think you do that really well. Heading towards 2025, I just saw the Christmas decorations up in Bunnings today, so we're on the way. Is there an album being put together? What's the plan?
Yeah, I had a really good chat, actually only yesterday, with my manager, Karen, about this, and we chat every day. We work really hard at plans moving forward, and look, it's been a while since I've released my debut album, Countrified, and an album's on the cards, and I'm at that point now where I'm writing, but also bringing together the framework to help make it happen. So it's definitely on the cards, and I'm coming up with methods and ways to do that right now to achieve that. And I've got a great producer up here living not far away from me here in Queensland. And so to answer your question, yes, mate, that's the plan. I'm kind of at that point now where I want to get a few months writing under my belt, in that, Christmas, quieter part of the year at the start. I've got a few gigs, etc. So I kind of want to go into the next album with, a clear idea of probably a few more songs than I did too, a bit more of a few more songs for the body of songs, so I can pick and choose. So that's the goal, and I'm working towards it as hard as I can. So hopefully, second half of next year, that's what we'll be talking about. Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll definitely get you back on then. Last question before I let you go, mate. Thanks so much for your time today. But I want to ask you, you're backstage at Denny, maybe Tamworth, wherever you might be. You know you're about to go on. You can hear the crowd's getting pretty revved up. You walk on stage. What's it like to be Will Day in that moment?
Great question, Adam. I often get, I'm thinking back to my Brownwater main stage show, and you work so hard for those moments. I'm a realist. That's where I'm at. You want to get to a point where you're getting to play those main stage shows all the time, right? And that's always a goal. But for me, I'm thinking back to that moment, and it could be any other show for that matter. It's a feeling of elation. Actually, you kind of go, this sounds super cheesy, but you almost kind of disconnect with yourself for a moment. You go, wow, I'm actually doing this, and you get this. What I find is this burst of energy. You get really energetic, and then you kind of got to go, hang on a sec, I'm playing out of time. Like the musicianship side of it, you actually have to bring back into it as well, and go, hang on, dude. Yeah. Just you got to chill out for a second, but then what I try and do is inject that energy all the way through my performance, like we spoke about earlier. So for me, it's a matter of just enjoying that moment. It's a very special moment. I love it. And the best part about it is you look to your left, and there's my mate Lincoln on bass. There's my mate Simon or Jack or whoever on guitar, and my mate Billy or Nick who's playing the gig on the drums. And what it is, Adam, is that moment you share with those guys as well. It's incredible. And then you look out, and people are singing tunes, and they're into it, and you go, well, hey, we're in this world for the next 90 minutes. No one can touch us. So it's very special.
Yeah. So that's something like when you see people sing along with something you've written, whether it be something personal, something you might have written 10 years ago. That thing, I spent some time with John Bon Jovi a few years ago, and I asked him, why are you doing star jumps on stage? He goes, you try and be on stage and have 80,000 people singing a song you wrote in a garage when you were 15.
Incredible.
That's what you do. It's
incredible.
And that's right. But I don't think, having seen you give all your energy in those shows, mate, I don't think there's star jumps. I think it's just coming off stage and having a drink with your mates in the band and relaxing before you do it all again. Are we going to see you in Tamworth?
Yes, I can confirm that now. I've been working on that and just kind of scaling back a little bit with Tamworth, but yeah, I think even as of today, we're just trying to make it all line up. So I'm hoping I'll be there probably in the second half of the week. And I've gone to the Golden Guitars last couple of years, which I really loved. It's a great fun night out and to catch up with your mates. So mate, hopefully, and you'll be there, or?
Yep, we'll be there front and center. And just with your Golden Guitars too, I saw you rock up on the red carpet last year. You still treat that like it's a professional event. I know it's at the end, everyone's tired and so on, but some of our colleagues who turn up in jeans and a t-shirt, I wonder, and you turned up and I thought, here, you get it. You've presented yourself. You're still presenting yourself in a professional capacity. So hats off to you for doing that. I've just knocked off a Tamworth saying there, but hats off to you for doing that. It's a real thing. It's someone said to me once, I couldn't tell who was the punter and who was the fan. And you turned up like the artist that you are. So congratulations on that. And keep
Cheers,
that
mate.
going for sure.
Thank you.
If you're working with students, keep that going as well.
Thank you, sir.
Mate, thanks so much for joining us today, Will Day. It's been a pleasure to hearing about your journey, your projects, inspirations. Great new single, My Kind of Crowd, out now. You're going to hear that. All the other singles as well. Maybe a few sneaky duets, or someone might jump up on stage. Katie Jane's got about 1 million gigs up there, and
yeah,
he's always around, and you guys hang out. So, but look, we're looking forward to seeing what's next for you. Let's catch up again when that album comes out. And thanks so much for your time. We'll catch you in Tamworth.
You're a good man. Thanks, Adam. Love your work. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today on the Country HQ Spotlight On podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends to keep listening to our next episode for the latest and greatest in country music from around the world.